Well, good morning. Ron Steen with another edition of Inside St. Paul. Each week we feature a group within our church, and today we are featuring the Archive Committee under the leadership of Alice Jerome, and she has some good help here, Rose Hoy and Jeanette Phillips. And it's my understanding that in 1998 is when the archive department started, and you had boxes everywhere, and you just picked a box and started filing and making books and putting it in some kind of order.
Right. And
I believe in church history. My question to you, do we have all the records going back to 1837?
We do. We've got the very first meeting of the church committee in 1837, and it's written in German manuscript.
Wow, that's great. Well, tell us a little bit about archives, Alice, since you're the chairperson or whatever.
Well, like you said, archives is the keeping of the church history. And of course, it's a never-ending job because yesterday is today's history.
Right.
And today will be tomorrow's history. So when we think we're just about finished with one thing, we're not. But that's what keeps it interesting.
Wow, that's great. That's great. I guess chairperson's not the right word. I guess archivist. Archivists. Okay.
We're all archivists.
You know, I spent 2 years up here doing research on the fine arts for 25 years. But one of the things I really enjoyed the most was I would read a whole year of OSPs. And so I know who joined the church and when they got married and the business affairs.
That is the basis of most of our information, if it's not written down.
Okay, well that's great. Rose, tell us, you have a passion for this, right?
Well, when I lived in Pennsylvania, I belonged to the Church History Committee. And when I come down here, I was talking to Alice about it. And she said, look, we could always use some help in the archives. So I joined the archives, and I more or less take care of the newspaper articles and pictures and anything else that she gives me to do. But I really enjoy it because I'm becoming more familiar with the history of this church that I didn't know before.
Oh, that's great. And we appreciate your time and your effort.
Oh, I enjoy doing it.
And Jeanette told me a very interesting story this morning about a Pony Express writer that was a member of our church.
I worked on the obituaries for quite a while, tearing old scrapbooks apart that had all the obituaries pasted on them. And I took all these obituaries off of there, and I would soak them off and dry them on my stove, and then put them in books with all acid-free paper. And one of them that I found was the Pony Express writer who made runs from Chester, Illinois to St. Louis, Missouri. And quite a few rather interesting ones I did the obituaries from World War II up until 1969. So I went through World War II, the Korean War, and it was just really, really quite interesting to see all the people that went to our church. Business people, a lot of my relatives, which I didn't even know about. So, and now I just do work on, like Alice will give me a group to work on, like I worked on the square dancers that we used to have. And now I'm working on putting the West Child Study Guild, I'm working on putting those articles together in books. So it's quite interesting because I've learned so much.
Well, you know, I noticed, Alice, on this back wall back here, maybe Bill can get a picture of it, that we have all our ministers up there.
That's right, all our senior pastors.
Senior pastors, yes. Yeah, and I find that very interesting.
It is, and it's very interesting for us because just recently I found a connection with Jacob Mosbach, who was here from 1866 to 1871. He has a living relative in St. Charles, Missouri.
Oh, okay.
And I'm going to try and get in touch with him.
Sure.
See if we can get his picture up. We just got I guess it was last year, we just got some information from Reverend Finninger, and they have relatives here in town. So she's in the process of looking back in her pictures to see if she can find one of him. So you just never know what corner you turn or what paper you flip over as to what information you get.
Well, I think we have an incredible history here at St. Paul and wonderful traditions, and we've been blessed with generations of great members at our church as we grew as a church.
Generations of families.
Yeah, and families, and it's just, I think it's very important that we save our records and archives, and you girls do a wonderful job, and you probably could use some help, couldn't you?
Oh, yes.
So-
I sure could. We meet on Wednesday mornings till noon, usually. And if you enjoy this kind of thing, give me a call.
So if you have a passion and you love the church history or archives, contact Alice Jerome. This concludes this session of Inside St. Paul's. It's time to go to church. Come back next week as we will feature another group within our church.